Talk to us about the beginning, how it all started.
I was at a resort on Singer Island, and I was approached by somebody else, another girl my age that went to my school. We exchanged phone numbers. We didn't really get into too much detail about the whole scenario. A couple days later, I called her, and then I picked up another gentleman, an adult male, on the way to Jeffrey's house.
Do you want to identify the man who introduced you to Epstein?
The adult male was Tony Figueroa.
And who is that, for those who don't know?
He either graduated or went to Royal Palm. I believe he was 20 when he accompanied me and the other underage girl to Jeffrey Epstein's house. And basically in the car, what now, to my knowledge, was grooming. They were grooming me, letting me know what to experience, what to expect. But they were there were a lot of details that were left out, obviously. So I went to Jeffrey's, and the abuse happened upstairs in his bedroom, which there was a room inside a room. If you can imagine, it was a bedroom. And then there was a small room that was like a steam shower room. And that's where the abuse took place. And whatever I was told was very different than what I experienced that day.
Do you want to share a little bit about what happened?
I was 16. I was in high school. Walked up the stairs of his Palm Beach mansion. We got to his steam room, which was, again, a room inside a room. And he came out in a towel and laid on the massage table. The girl that escorted me up there left the room, closed the door. I experienced him touching me in inappropriate places, forcing me to do things to him as he watched. Then he finished himself. At one point, he tried to use a vibrator to insert in my... And I declined. And the disappointment on his face was something that I will probably never understand or can even block it out of my memory. At that point, he just said, hey, listen, you don't want to do this, then just bring me your friends and I will pay you for, every friend that you bring to me, you will get compensated for. I can't even understand the mercy he showed me because he's just such a psychopath and a narcissist. But I was, now looking back on it in hindsight, I'm so thankful that that's where it ended and that, I wasn't raped. I wasn't, everybody, the adults and everybody were downstairs. I was upstairs in this room within a room that was probably soundproof, locked.
Things escalated from there in the sense that you already experienced this horrible moment in this room within a room. Mm-hmm. But it seemed like he didn't let you go.
The only way I was getting out of that room was when he was sexually gratified. So when the abuse started occurring, I knew that he was going to get his gratification one way or another. It was whether I was going to be a willing participant or I was going to fight it off. I didn't have fight in me. I'm 16. I was raped. That was my first sexual experience with a man. I didn't have another fight in me. I made a choice off survival, and I stick with that choice. And I've paid a high cost and a high price for that choice. He did not let me go. For 2 years, I brought girls for him. I think it totaled 8 to 10 women or girls.
Did he pay you for the recruits? And if so, do you remember how much?
Jeffrey paid me $200 cash every time. And eventually, after those 2 years, I moved to Orlando.
Do you feel like he was going to find you somehow?
There were a lot of things that I experienced in Orlando after I left him. Things that I don't necessarily talk about. But I think when you are that young and you're put in such a position that you clearly don't know how to navigate, I think that there's a little piece of fear that sticks with you, even when you flee, when you get out, when you move on, when you heal. Jeffrey's been dead for years, and I still have a little bit of fear. It's something that you live with.
When things started to come to light with Epstein and more survivors started sharing their stories, what was it like feeling that you weren't alone, even though you knew there was the ones that you brought over, but what was it like knowing that you weren't alone in this?
I don't think I've ever not felt alone in this. because I was so alienated in the beginning, and it's tough because Jeffrey alienated me and kept me away from everyone, isolated me from the other girls, the other victims, kind of kept me in the dark. And then when all of this came out in the press and there were a lot of false narratives that were being pushed, a lot of things that were being said, I, again, was alienated from the other victims because I was not considered a victim at the time because lack of investigation, lack of information, and I was alienated again. So I think a part of me will always feel like I've had to move mountains.
Did you ever meet Ghislaine Maxwell?
I have not. I didn't know she existed until years ago.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
They made it seem like they've known each other for so long. When you heard about their connection, was it shocking to you?
Yes. I completely missed that whole I missed that whole flag. I had no idea that Ghislaine was a real person. I had no idea that he had a relationship with her. I think part of it was, as a woman, how could you have a relationship with somebody and he's doing all this on the side and you not know about it? So I kind of missed that. But I also suspected that he was dating somebody else or carrying on a relationship with somebody else from some of the things I saw when I went to his house.
What was your reaction when you heard that he killed himself in jail?
I'm going to get some heat for this. You know, I don't want to say that he didn't kill himself because I don't know what happened. Right. But I've spent time with Jeffrey, and he is a narcissist to the T and a psychopath, and he is everything I think that anyone could despise. I think there's a lot of mixed emotions that go into that because you're happy he's dead because finally you feel a sense of false safety, and I want to make sure I explain false safety because the trauma doesn't end just because he dies. You still have to confront your trauma. You're still working and healing. And then this man dies and you didn't get any closure. You didn't get to speak your mind to him. You didn't get to share the damage or impact he had on your entire life. And then on top of that, it's like your identity. Okay, so I've been connected to this man for over 17 years now at this point. And a part of me just died with him. Because now I have to figure out who I am. Because for the longest time, he defined me. It's tricky.